Hello and welcome to the Plate Spinning Academy podcast, hosted by me, Nic Davies, a productivity mentor and multi-passionate entrepreneur. I know what it feels like when you want to do all of the projects all at the same time, with never enough time and energy to do it all. I'm a passionate creative who's found my almost perfect blend of business and life that keeps my head motivated, my body energised and my heart happy. I'll be talking about all things to do with organisation, rotas, goal setting, systems and structures, and strategies for business and life together, all combined with a healthy dose of accountability and motivation to help you on your journey. It's time for you to find your tailored recipe for accomplishment and contentment. Welcome to today's episode. I'm going to be talking all about burnout. It's a word that gets used a lot in the entrepreneurial space, and it can be interpreted in different ways, but it's basically when you've done far too much over far too long a period of time and not looked after yourself. That's the gist of it. But how do we know when we're approaching burnout? Because what are the warning signs? We just don't know. I've hit burnout 2 or 3 times in my life, and I keep saying I won't let it happen again, and then it happens again. Have you heard about the analogy of the frog in hot water? If you put a frog into boiling hot water, it'll jump out straight away because it knows that environment is dangerous for it. If you put a frog into cold water and slowly heat that water up, the frog adjusts itself to the temperature around it. And as the water gets warmer, the frog readjusts. Each time the temperature rises, the frog will readjust to its surroundings, to the point where it doesn't realise actually that water is too hot and the frog will die. This is the perfect analogy for how people reach burnout. We just don't see it coming. I'll tell you a little bit about one of my burnout stories, because my first one was many years ago. It was back in 2002, 2003, and I worked myself into having a virus which I never recovered from really, and ended up with ME, chronic fatigue, for 4 years, and I had to stop what I was doing. I had to work hard to recover, and I promised myself when I finally got back to employment after 4 years that wouldn't happen again. And then in 2020 I found myself in an even worse situation. Although if I go back to actually 2018, I was working long hours, I was working for myself. We had a lot going on at home, and I was not giving myself any time off at all. And I started with aches and pains and ended up being diagnosed with fibromyalgia. As I've read more into fibro and what actually causes it, because it's pain throughout your body, and it's unexplained pain. It's like I could wake up one morning and not be able to move because I'm in so much pain, and it feels like that feels like I've run a marathon, and really I've not done anything. But the more you read up on it, the more you realise it's actually related to stress, and it's putting your body under stress for a prolonged period of time is the reason why it then starts to break down. And I was still doing okay. I was still managing. I was taking pain relief, so I was still able to remain mobile because I felt that was important. Having had chronic fatigue in the past, the worst thing I could possibly do was sit down and rest, because then your body just stops working altogether. So this time round I was keeping going, and maybe I was keeping going a little bit too much. 2019 was quite a stressful year for me. We'd moved house. We had a lot of things going wrong financially. We were having stuff going on with one of the teenagers. There was a lot going on. And then we had to move house again. So we moved house twice within a year. And January 2020, I actually had a heart attack at the age of 45. And I look back now with hindsight thinking, yeah, is it any wonder? Is it any wonder that happened? Which is so easy for me to look back now. But at the time when you're going through it, you don't realise, because one of the things we don't think about is, what are our limits? What are our limits? Where are they? How do we know when we've pushed past them? And the answer is, we don't know until we've gone past them. And it's something I like to call burnout bridge. Once you've crossed over burnout bridge, there's no way going back. It's a one-way system. And the only way to get back to where you were is to walk 150 miles down the riverbank. You've got to take a massive detour. Getting to burnout is the easy part, and coming back from it is 100 times harder. I can't emphasize how difficult it is once you've actually reached that stage where your body has just given up completely, to then be able to just go and function normally, and your day-to-day stuff is so much more difficult. And I don't want that to happen to you. You know, I would like to share my personal story as a warning. I'm quite capable. I'm reasonably intelligent. I'm sensible. I know what I'm doing. I was 45 and I still ended up doing way too much. So it can happen. It can happen to anybody. The way that I should have tackled it is that I shouldn't have worked myself into the ground. I should have made sure that I was putting breaks in when I needed to rest. And I wasn't. I was just working and working to the point where I would only go to bed when I was totally exhausted. I would fill my days with jobs because I just didn't want to be sat doing nothing. It was part of my genetic makeup that I have to be busy all of the time. And unfortunately, I ended up paying a really serious health price for it. And it's taken almost 5 years now to get back on track. And within that time, I've not been able to work fully. And the impact it's had on my life and the family and the people around me, it's been a really, really difficult period. One of the things I didn't do was put boundaries in place. I've always been a yes person. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, if you can't do it, I'll do it. Yeah, give it to me. Oh, I can see you're busy. I'll do it. You think about the saying that if you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. I was that busy person. It was like I didn't know how to switch off. I didn't know how to rest. I didn't really know what to do with myself if I wasn't busy doing something. And when you work for yourself, you know, you're told that you get out of it what you put in. So if you put in more hours, if you put in more effort, if you put in more time, surely that's got to have a payoff at some point, right? I now realise that was completely the wrong strategy, and that I should have been putting better systems into place and better boundaries into place. And the boundaries as well with myself. You know, I would stay up late. I wouldn't give myself a bedtime. You know, you tell the kids, well, you got to go to bed at 8 o'clock because you've got to be up for school in the morning. Why aren't we doing that for ourselves? This is what we should be doing. We should be being our own parents. You know, who's looking after us? We have to look after ourselves. And it is so easy to let your personal boundaries slip when you just want that little bit of extra time in the evening because the kids have been playing up, because they haven't gone to bed on time. And it all creeps in. And before you know it, you've hit burnout bridge. And then by that time, it's too late. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Come and find me on socials. I've got a couple of free groups you can find on my profile that you are welcome to join. I'd love to hear more about what you'd like me to talk about on the podcast, and I would welcome your ideas for future episodes.